When I was a little kid, the two things I loved the most in life were Godzilla and NES games. So naturally, when Godzilla Monster Monsters came out, it was like a dream come true. Well, almost. To sum it up, most of the game revolved around getting into very repetitive outer space levels while smashing tanks and jets, and then fighting against Godzilla's monster enemies. Overall, it was pretty mediocre, but back then, I didn't care. When I got the game as a present for my 10th birthday, I played it night and day, as much as I could. Unfortunately, I traded the game in for Amagon a year later, pretty much to my regret when I found out how that game was like. Recently, I bought an NES system, and through a lot of hunting and asking around, my friend Billy managed to find a copy of Godzilla Monsters. I was pumped to play my favorite childhood game. It never occurred to me to ask Billy where he found it. He also gave me some other games like Legend of Zelda, Bomberman, and some stupid thing called Action 52. But Godzilla had to come first. So I started the game, and nostalgia came flooding back like a tidal wave. Godzilla's 8-bit theme flooded proudly through the speakers, and I was soon grinning like an idiot. Some people laugh at me for playing such outdated games, but I never got much enjoyment for playing any games other than those on the NES. Those 8-bit games take me back to when things were a lot more simpler, more safe. But after what happened with the game, I've forgotten how quick the fun of smashing things as Godzilla wore off in the scrolling levels. The game bombards you with bullets and things crashing into you from every direction, and you're too big to avoid most of them. Although my excitement had worn down some, it wasn't long at all before I got to my first boss battle. My first opponent was Gazora, an obscure squid kaiju who had never been in a Godzilla movie. The most annoying thing about fighting Gazora is that he always backs you into a corner and starts smacking you with his tentacles, and you're unable to move until he gets off. This move doesn't do any damage, but it can stall you until the timer runs out and you have to start the fight over again, and then you regain some health afterwards. It's as annoying as it sounds, and of course, he did it as soon as I fought him. Only for some reason this time, the game decided to glitch up, because once he started smacking me, he never stopped. The timer's supposed to end the fight in 40 seconds, but this lasted nearly 4 minutes. After a while, the graphics started to mess up too, with these little red blocks everywhere. Which was weird, but I just took the game out and blew on it and started it back up again. I wasn't about to let a little glitch stand in my way. So I started again, and this time defeated Gazora and this level's other boss monster, Mogura, without any problems. So then it was on to the next planet, Mars. I browsed around the board and found something unexpected. Where Varen's piece should have been, there was instead a piece representing Titanosaurus. Now, there were only 10 kaiju in the game, and Titanosaurus wasn't one of them. Or so I thought. Maybe Titanosaurus was originally put into the game but was fucked out for Varen some time later? So, I began to feel excited. Not only was I playing my favorite game, but I must have been playing some sort of prototype. Needless to say, I ran through the levels as fast as I can to see Titanosaurus in action. Fought Gazora again and beat him before he could do his tentacle smack, but this time the glitch started happening when he died. Gazora's sprite didn't sink to the bottom of the screen, but instead it was devoured by the glitch. His eyes started spawning randomly all over the screen. I know now these glitches with Azora were my first warning signs that something was very wrong with this game. But foolishly I ignored it and proceeded to fight Mogura, who this time had a glitch of his own. Mogura was twice the size he should have been, which startled me at first. He was also considerably harder to beat, which is to say, not at all. But I defeated him soon also, and when he died, another glitch happened. This happened so extremely fast I was lucky to get a screen cap of it, but what happened was the giant Mogura sprite had shattered and melted. Also, if you look at the garbled text at the top right corner, you can notice what appears to be a bird in a cage. I still have no idea what that meant. At this point, I was about to fight Titanosaurus, and I was worried as to what kind of glitches would happen this time. But to my surprise, Titanosaurus looked just fine. Although all the game's bipedal monsters were the same height, Titanosaurus was a bit taller. But since Titanosaurus was actually taller than Godzilla in his debut film, I thought it was kinda cool. After a very fun fight with a monster that wasn't supposed to be in the game, I took over the enemy base and proceeded not to Jupiter like normal, but instead to Pathos.